Boys, another podcast.
Boys,
How we doing?
Boys, what's happening? You know how we
how are
just
you?
decided the thumbnail?
Yeah.
Just thought of a thumbnail. Should have. We've actually got a photo of Michael Trimboli right here from our wedding. I should
Oh,
have
did
used
you?
that. Look at
You
that.
should
Oh my
have.
God,
Would
there
have
I
been
am.
awesome.
I've got a photo of you in my room too, bro.
Thanks, bro. I got a couple of you around, but yeah, I've seen the ones in your room with me, which is very nice.
Yeah. I got no
Actually, Scotty,
photos.
have you been to MTs back in
Yeah.
the many? Did you see the frame? That I feel like every time it's one of MT's like birthdays or something, him and I are really good at like making frames for each other.
Yeah, because that's in my walk-in. I don't
It's
think
in your
Scotty
walking.
went there. Nah.
No,
Okay.
we haven't gone
Yeah,
to
it's
the
just
walk.
like a collage of photos and like a heap of stuff. Like just
He
did it
hasn't
say
he
I love
hasn't
you on it?
passed.
Did I write I love you? Or did it say best friends? What does it say? The one on the little small one.
You know what? That's next week's thumbnail. I'm
Oh,
gonna
there you
film
go.
that and I'm gonna
Oh, that'll be awesome. Yeah, yeah. Show the people. That'll be cool. Yeah,
Scotty hasn't passed the threshold of my bedroom yet. We're not there.
yeah.
Soon, soon.
Nah, Scotty's on the bedside table.
You know what I'm upset about? We've got the flights booked for this weekend. I had a look at the seating allocation. MG, you're right in the middle. You're in between both of us.
Is
Beautiful.
he?
Yeah, MG's in the middle.
Nice.
It's
Well,
gonna be
Jeez.
so
you
funny.
guys will be
Us
glad to
three
you guys will
guys.
be glad to know I've lost a few more kilos. It's been a very productive week, so it's not going
He
to be
has
as
gotten
tight of a
leaner.
squeeze as tight of
Yeah.
a squeeze, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm a window seat. MG, you're in the middle, and Scotty's on the aisle.
MT, can I just
I'm on
ask
the
what
aisle, am I?
can
Okay.
I ask what you're weighing at the moment?
93.8.
How funny has it been? The three of us keep switching, like just within a matter of weeks, like who's the heaviest?
Yeah. Am I the heaviest now?
Yeah, the heaviest now, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're the alpha.
Yeah, I'm back down to 90. I've dropped down to 91 now, so
You're 91.
yeah, we've what do we start at? About 96, so yeah, we've chewed off about just under 5.
Jeez. Hey, Scotty,
We don't muck around, man.
Yeah.
14 weeks out, that little
Oh
bit
yeah, that
heavy
was
dude.
tantalizing. Tantalizing.
I was like, what is this? I was like, what is this?
You know what's funny? This is what I got this a couple of times
Yeah.
from competitors, like good people, right? They're just not like questioning like is, is he supposed to be that lean 14 weeks out? I'm like, bro, you got to just think of the level that this guy operates at
Yeah.
and how many times he's done it. It's not like, someone going through the journey for the first time. So he's been around the bush once or twice. He knows what he's doing. But yeah, that was freaking odd, bro. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the gains that you've made in certain areas?
I know.
First of all, that upper chest shelf
Yes. I
yeah,
noticed it
bro,
too.
that upper chest shelf. I've watched that video 9 times. That upper chest shelf has come a long way. Equally, you've always had an amazing back shot,
Yeah.
but just the density and equally in your back shot, bro, the top of your delts in your back shot is
Yeah.
just they've come so far, man. And the amount of upper chest shelf you can see in your back shot, when you lift the chest up and you can see it from the rear, that's the fucking goal, man. Show
Yeah.
them chest in your rear double bicep. That's crazy.
Do you know well, it's not funny, but one thing that I'm hanging to do though, whenever we do my posing updates, whenever Chris takes them, it's always after legs just because of the time. So I actually want to, I still haven't really got any, I don't think I've got any photos after training upper body to see what my upper looks like. So when we go to Queensland this weekend, I'm
Oh,
actually going to sub my
yes.
days around
Yes.
so that I can actually do a bit of upper and then we'll train upper body on the Saturday. So then I can actually see what those shots look like with
In that posing
more
room.
food and an actual upper body pump, not just, being flat upper and having trained legs. So
It's the funniest thing is listening to everyone now who's competing in season B that now knows that was with you with a lower body pump.
yeah, that was after legs.
That was a lower body pump, not an upper body pump.
No upper pump. So that's what I mean. So like I was reasonably happy with that. But again, I want to know what I look like
Yeah.
just to give me an indication of what the look will be with some blood flow in the top of half.
From your point of view, obviously it's easy for us, as some of your best mates to analyze. And where do you think you've had the best type of improvements from?
I think density as a whole, I think again, spending all that time being the heaviest ever been and all of those big heavy compounds like the heavy squats, definitely the heavy SLDLs and the RDLs have paid dividends because I feel like my rear shot, again, I think I've had a reasonably okay rear double, but the density and the thickness in that shot now is a lot stronger. And equally, I think, yeah, chest and shoulders, it's an area that I've tried to bring up a lot to try and I guess, create that illusion that I've got. Well, I naturally do have a small waist, but it just helps make everything up top look bigger and my waist look smaller. So just to try and, stick volume where I need it. So I think I've been reasonably balanced. And although you can't really tell, my legs have actually come up quite a lot. But I think I would say just density as a whole, and definitely bigger through the shoulders and the chest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely
Congratulations,
noticeable,
man.
bro. Yeah. What's funny is when you did my check-in this week and you're like, oh, you're coming towards the end of your training cycle, we'll do some progress photos. Actually, we're going to be in the posing room. Maybe you can do some posing. And then I thought, I was like, yeah, sick. And I thought, fuck, Scotty's going to be posing too. I was like, that's it. Fluid away tablets every single day. I'm going to be injecting sodium, diuretics.
Bro, I'm just not going to eat from now to Saturday.
That's it.
I'm joking.
On the hour, caffeine tablets plus sodium tablets plus carbohydrates. I was like,
No, it's going to be
That's right, Scott. You're gonna make us look bad, but it's all good. We get it.
No, it's good. But I think one thing, because when I posted that, I was actually surprised. I got a pretty good engagement on social media, but a lot of people DMing, what's your weight? How heavy did you get in the improvement season? What are the It's like everyone thinks there's this magic formula, but really it's just like not missing any meals, lifting heavy, being consistent, training to failure pretty consistently. But I think there's just definitely something to be said for taking the time to just hang out in a higher, or not necessarily that you want to get uncomfortably fat, but pushing the limits from where food is and body weight, provided that progression in the gym's linear. Because the things that I was able to do this improvement season at the weight that I was at, I've never been that weight, but equally I've never been able to do that. And even in prep now, I've never been able to touch the weights that I'm still touching, at this weight. So I think, if you're young or up and coming, or even on the fence if you should go again, I think the more time you can spend if you're productive in the improvement season, if you view it like a contest prep, which I do in the improvement season, you can just make so much like Ethan's another perfect example. You have a look at where he was 2 years ago. The guy's absolutely, improved out of sight. But again, heaviest he ever got to, food was the highest it ever had to be at, and just didn't miss a beat, trained heavy. The proof's in the pudding. And I think the same will be with you boys, like, again, pushing into uncharted territory when 2024 rolls around. It's going to be very exciting.
A couple of things you touched on there that I want to mention. Calling it a comp prep all the time, like not saying it's an off season, this is a comp prep. It's almost like we're in a comp prep now, but this is the building phase.
Mm-hmm.
And then later it's a comp prep, but it's the fat loss phase of the comp prep. Like, we should always have that mentality that we're in a comp prep. We're prepping for a competition, even that competition is in a year or two time, right? It shouldn't be that comp prep just means fat loss phase, right? And that's the way we should really think about it in our mind, for sure.
Absolutely. At the end of the day,
Yep.
the physique is built in the improvement season. So if you're flaky on your training, or you don't prioritize even just little things, like if you're flying, like say you got a holiday coming up and your flight's at like 10, just saying, I just won't train that day, even though I'll take it as a rest day. If you're in prep, there's no way you would do that. Versus if it's the improvement season, I'd be like, I'll just wake up at 4:30 at 5. I'll go and get the session in. You'll still get your meals in. You'll fuel the night before to make sure everything's perfect. And it's that attention to detail done consistently. That is what, I believe can take you to the next level.
I also think I was talking to another client about this, who's come into their off season now, off comp, and trying to find that motivation for training. People find it really motivating or easy to get motivation to train during comp prep because they can see the physique change. So they're like, oh, the training, like I'm training and I'm getting shredded. Like, the only reason why my muscles are looking like this is because, I'm training, right? And I was like, no. The reason why you're getting shredded is because of your diet, your consistency, and being in a calorie deficit, right? The training is just there in comp prep to really retain the muscle mass you have, right? There might be some slight gains, but really it's to retain the muscle mass that you have. You've got to think about training in the off season as that's where you make all those gains. That's where you make all the progress.
Mm-hmm.
Also, training in off season is way more fun and exciting than it is in comp prep. Like,
Completely
comp prep,
agree.
it's hard, and you get weaker eventually, and it gets harder. You may look way better in the gym, and as you're training in the mirror, you can see all the muscles moving, and it's all fun, right? but it's still shit. Like the training is not as fun as what I think is in the off season, because in the off season you get stronger, the numbers go up every time, you can perform a hell of a lot better, you feel better, you got plenty of energy, you get better pumps. Like there's so many things about off-season training that's better than comp prep training. And that's why I kind of try to tell people, like, it should be way more motivating because you actually see more results in the gym in off-season than what you do in comp prep in the gym. The only progress you see in the gym in comp prep is that when you take your shirt off, you look a little bit better, right? But the actual performance in the gym and the numbers in the gym are way better in the off season. So it should be more motivating to train during the off season compared to comp prep. Like during prep, I've hardly got any pumps, and then remember in the off season, it took a bit of time post comp to eventually feel a bit like I can actually feel my biceps like bursting out of the skin.
Yeah. And obviously carbohydrate and substrate definitely helps with that as well.
Of course, but
yeah,
I feel way better, and I enjoy off-season training way better than I did in comp prep. Like seeing the numbers go up every week and lifting weight that I couldn't lift before is so much more motivating than just grinding in prep just to train to retain the mass I have. Yeah.
I think the whole off-season period, like, again, whether you're in season, off season, not everyone's going to be wild like we are, but for me, it makes no fucking difference at all. I would eat the exact same thing every now and then, maybe every 8 to 10 weeks. I might change my dinner meal slightly from rice to pasta, whatever, but otherwise it's the same every fucking day. And again, there's so many people that are like, oh, I might have a muffin and a coffee for my pre-workout today. Like things like that. Is that optimal? No. Does it meet the criteria to get in your nutrients for the day? Yes. But again, I just think those 1%ers, like timing of meals, substrate availability, all those things, they definitely make a difference. And the way I look at it, like you look at the best physiques, they're all doing those things. And so I'm like, I think you're crazy if you're not trying to mirror that. Like at the end of the day, you look at a physique that you aspire to have, as we always say, success leaves clues. Like what are the non-negotiables? What are the daily disciplines that they apply? And that is the difference between good athletes and like great athletes. People that are willing to do the things that others aren't.
Yep.
In and outside of the prep.
What were you going to say, MG?
Sorry, bro.
No, relax, Brendan. One of the things that I really noticed the difference of is my recoverability. I'm in that sweet spot right now, right? Where I went to the heaviest that I've been, and I definitely felt uncomfortable, especially like aesthetically. I've dropped a little bit now, but my performance is still high. So like, I'm like probably a couple of kilos off being like in that really nice spot where I'm still lifting what I was able to lift. My energy is still high, but I'm looking a little bit better. But the biggest thing that I notice is for me, I've got like one exercise where I know when I'm in prep to when I'm in off season, right? Not just from a strength perspective, but when I do my top set of RDLs, now it's hard. I feel like I go till I got nothing left, and then honestly I can walk away, and then within like 30 seconds, I'm like fine, I'm tired. Man, that takes me 3 minutes to get my soul back when I'm like deep in prep on a big top set of RDLs. That exercise is my marker as to like how dieted down I am. So even things like, just being able to recover from an exercise in off season is fucking awesome. Like I can step up to the bar. Often, man, at the moment, I'll look at my rest timer and, it'll be at say 80 seconds, 85 seconds. And normally I'll have 2 minutes. I'm like, fuck, I'm raring, man. I'm good. Like, let's go. Whereas in prep, I'm like, fuck, only 25 seconds left. Shit. Like those are the little differences that you just need to appreciate. Unless you're going into that place, you just don't appreciate it enough.
Yeah. Off-season training, absolutely love it. Definitely better than comp prep training. Definitely. All right. Let's move into some questions because we didn't do that last week because we're talking about the Universe show. So I know you got a couple, MG, but I'm going to start off with this one that I got about support systems because I know we got a really good response last time we spoke about support systems and having good people around you when you're in a circle and things like that. So let's kick it off with that. So this person said, support systems, people giving support when they want support in return. When they have a goal, they'll support your goals and congratulate your achievements. But when they don't have a goal, they'll stop supporting you, could be out of jealousy or resentment. Do you ever find that? Do you ever find that, when you got people that support you and they've also got something going on in their life, and then when they don't, they kind of just fall off the radar? And
A lot of people, man.
yeah. Do you find that, obviously, does it bother you at all? Or do you just understand it and just feel like, okay, that's that type of person?
Yeah, I can't say it happens to me very often, but I think I see it with people that I coach.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly with prep, man. I think we, like, as coaches, we see like people, like, let's just use social media as an example. People are so active on social media during prep, and then as soon as preps die off, people go MIA.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those that continue to do that type of stuff and then don't get that support from others may start to feel like other people aren't supporting them. I think also, man, a lot of people are just so caught up in what they're doing in their own lives to have the time to think about those around them. So many people, like little activities like we do, like every now and then making sure, like, I'll flick a message to Scotty or I'll flick a message to Charlie and just say, hey, bros, checking in, how are you? Like, equally, Charlie does the same for me every couple of weeks. He'll just send me a, hey, man, just want to see that you're having a good day. Like, it doesn't take much to pay attention to those around you. I definitely think the person that's asked this question is spot on. I think it happens all the time. I think when people have big goals, it's easy to be around people that have big goals. When your big goals stop, the last thing that you want to do is raise your level of insecurity and hang around people with big goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we've also said on this podcast many times, if you're someone that's got big goals and the people around you aren't supporting, get new people around you.
Yeah.
Because whether you've got a big goal or not, you should still be able to be happy and supportive of your friends.
100%.
Like Scott, you're prepping, right? You look fucking amazing, and I want you to keep looking more and more amazing. I'm not gonna change the way I am because you're looking more and more amazing. But a lot of people will do that because there is that level of insecurity, and they don't feel like they're living up to your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have to always think about living up to other people's expectations or matching other people, but I think you can still be happy for people doing well. Remember I said like 10 episodes ago, it's like, you're either someone who wants everyone to do well no matter what, or you want someone to do well but just not better than you. Try not to be that person. Always try and, be happy for those around you doing really well. And I promise you, if you keep surrounding yourself with people who are doing really, really well, as a consequence, over time, not immediately, you will start doing better and better yourself. Promise.
Yeah. There was one thing that you mentioned there about, when people go AWOL after they do a prep and they don't post as much. I'll give you an example of someone that does that, but is still supportive no matter what. So Bridget, everyone knows Bridget, absolutely amazing competitor, ICN judge, an amazing human being. She's someone, and she admits it herself, when she's in prep, posting on social media. When she's not, it's now I spend time with my family and I put my energy elsewhere. But her support of everyone else, including her support of me and her encouragement of me and my achievements, does not stop no matter what. I'll get messages from her, congratulations from her, whether she's in prep or she's not in prep, it doesn't faze her one bit. So that's someone that's a true supporter and a true friend, right? Where I've got other people, and that's a tricky one too. Not a tricky one, but she was obviously firstly a client and still is, but she's also my friend, right? So you also have people that stay clients and are clients only, and you've also got people that are clients and also friends. Like you said Charlie, right? So Charlie's your client, someone who you coach, but he's also one of your friends, right? You'll also have people that are like that, but they will also come and go too. So there'll be people that they'll be your client and your friend. And when they're in prep and kicking goals, they're also congratulating you on your goals that you're kicking and supporting everyone else. But then they'll go AWOL after that. And they won't congratulate you. There won't be no support of you or anyone else. So just be mindful. And I just wanted to draw that point is like, not everyone that goes AWOL is not a supportive person, because Bridget and Charlie is one of those. Like I know when, I think it was the next morning when I woke up from the career show, I had this awesome message from Charlie. Like, someone that I wouldn't expect to get a message from, this really, really nice message saying, congratulations, you should be so proud of yourself, so proud of your team, all that kind of stuff. That was really, really nice and something that I wasn't expecting. And there was a lot of other people that I didn't expect too that sent really, really nice messages, and people that aren't even in the sport. So like some of my friends, like, obviously Drew, we know Drew's our biggest supporter anyways, and he's still single. But there was people that I hadn't spoken to in a while that are just my friends and not in the industry, and they sent me some messages too. So sometimes there's people there that are super supportive no matter what's going on in their life, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. They'll still be a support system. And then there's some people like what this person mentions, where they're only supporting you when they have something else going on in their life. Otherwise, they may see you, now that thing in their life has stopped, and they see you continuing to progress, and there might be some jealousy, resentment, or an insecurity there. I don't blame them for it. I just put them on a list,
Yeah, move on.
That's it.
You got to think about where your energy is best spent.
Yeah. What do you think, Scotty? Do you find that too?
Yeah, I'm sure it goes on. Again, like you guys, you see it with clients. I personally don't really have a lot of it because I'm pretty ruthless with who I will and won't give my time and energy to. I think when you have, a partner and you have children and things like that, it puts everything in perspective. So like my family, as in my wife and my two kids, they're the most important things in the whole world. And then I have my close circle of people, and you're either in the circle or you're not. And if you're not outside the circle, you could tell me that I'm a piece of shit and I look like garbage and you should never compete. And I would literally be like water off a duck's back, because it's like, I don't really care what you think, because I don't value your opinion. You're not in my circle. So you could, if you're there, you're not there. Like at the end of the day, they're just sort of like, there's always people when, like if I'm impressed, people want to engage and they want to talk to you. How's this? How's that? But when you're juicy and you're fluffy and you're in the off season, you're going about your business, they're not reaching out and they're not wanting to, engage then. So it's kind of like, I think you just have to be comfortable with the people that you have, and that the people are in that circle for a reason. So you don't ever really have to worry about that, because you've got quality people around you and positive energy, whether it's you going well or whether you're not going well. And equally, they're the people that are in your corner if you're perhaps not going all that well and you need someone to be there for the lows, not just the highs. So I think just the importance of having that right, I guess, environment around you, and also being really ruthless. Don't be afraid to cut people. I think the older you get, the more you appreciate quality over quantity amongst so many other things. Your relationships, the environment, your work, all those things. And obviously for me, that's one of my most important values, the people that I keep, because you're a byproduct of the environment you associate yourself with. So if you hang around shit, you're going to end up getting involved in that shit.
Or at least smelling like shit.
What's that?
Or at least smelling like shit.
Yeah. Whereas if you hang around good people that only want you to do well, and likewise you're of the same mindset, then it's funny how quickly you level up across so many different, avenues of your life.
And by no means, to us, I can talk for us three, do we need that encouragement and support. Like, we're very self-motivating, right?
Yeah.
But we're more saying about having people around you that reciprocate the energy that you give them. Like they're giving you as much as what you're giving them, right? Yeah, and it's reciprocal.
Yeah, for sure. And equally, I don't think I think a lot of people compete for the wrong reasons. And I know social media is huge, and I'm obviously on the opposite end of the spectrum where I don't really care much for it. But I think if you seek validation from others, then perhaps internally there's some other things that you need to rectify. Like, you should know your own self-worth, and you're not defined by whether you look good or whether you do well in a show or whether you don't. That doesn't define who you are. It's just something that you're doing. As long as you do everything to the best of your ability, then you have to be at peace with that. So I think, not to get too
Philosophical.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right word without sounding like a dick. Anyway, I think you have to be comfortable with who you are as a person. And as soon as you are, and you know who you are, and you can celebrate that, then it doesn't really matter about anything else. And like, it's so much easier to be happier with everything that you do when you know what your self-worth is, and you know that if I do well on a bodybuilding show, that's great. But if I don't do well, it doesn't make me a bad person, doesn't mean that I'm a failure or I'm shit. It's just something that happened. So, but yeah, I think a lot of people just, social media these days, it's just like a like or comments, or this person said that, they're like addicted to it.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. As we've kind of spoken about in the past, like, inner circle is super important.
Yeah, just keep good company and
Yep.
be ruthless with who you surround yourself with.
Yep. All right, let's move on to another one. So there was one that I wanted to link with one that you sent me, MG. Where is it? Oh, yeah. What is the protocol when clients want to swap coaches? Is it frowned upon in the industry or is it okay? And I wanted to link this with the one you sent me about client red flags. Because the reason why I'm making that link is because there's no protocol in swapping a coach, and it's not frowned upon at all. Well, not from my opinion. It's something that happens, and it should be a professional conversation that you have with your coach and the reasons why you're moving on to someone else. But as a client red flag, something that we look at is we see if someone is a coach hopper, and if they just go from one coach to another, to another, to another, to another. For me, that raises a bit of a red flag. It'd still be a conversation to have to understand the reasons why, but it would definitely be a little bit of a red flag for me. But I get it. People build a friendship and a relationship with a coach. So sometimes it can feel like a breakup, but that coach if they're professional, they'll take it professionally. And if they're a good person, they'll be supportive, like we just spoke about. They'll support you no matter what, right? So
I think like if I was to put my coach's hat on, you think about some of the reasons why someone could leave. If like there was some practice that was going on that was, you were unsure of and you questioned your coach and your coach's answer wasn't satisfactory and you wanted to switch coach. But you asked your coach for an answer and they weren't able to give it to you. That's a problem. And maybe that wouldn't be the most amicable split because they wouldn't be able to deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say it was a personality thing. It's like, I feel like we're not gelling, or the amount of contact I want versus what you want to give is not right there. I don't think that the coach would have any issues in dealing with that. And let's say it's a contact thing, and the coach is maybe feeling like they're giving enough contact, and you're wanting a little more, and there's another coach that might give you more. Then the coach may be happy for you to take that path. You know what I mean? But I think MT said, an adult conversation is the best way to deal with it. And I think most coaches who have been around long enough expect team members to move on. We've all had it. I think like if you're asking me for like a red flag, I think constant non-adherence would be the biggest red flag, right? Mm-hmm. Constant non-adherence and just sort of going by week to week with an excuse this week that goes to another excuse next week that goes to another excuse that week. That to me is a big red flag. But that's only a red flag that you're going to find when you start working with someone. It's not really a red flag you can identify before going into a relationship with a new athlete.
Yeah.
That would probably be my biggest one. But I think, is it normal procedure? Is it something that happens and is it frowned upon in the industry? No, it happens all the time. We've all lost athletes, good athletes and maybe not so good athletes around. It happens. And there's so many athletes looking for coaching within the industry, and the opportunity to work with someone completely different may present itself next week. So, equally as coaches, and I'll speak for all the coaches out there, none of us want to lose a team member. But we understand the reality of the industry that we're in, and these things are going to happen. And unfortunately, we work in an industry where what's sold on social media is a patch of grass that does look much greener, really easy, right? You can jump on and, promote strategies and methodology and use one client example that had the best genetics ever to sell your whole model. and you are going to get new team members because of that. So it's going to happen, and, coaches will be fine to deal with it. Most will anyway.
What do you think, Scotty? People
I think
swapping coaches, and also any other client red flags you may have?
I think you guys pretty much you covered it. It's pretty straightforward.
Any other red flags?
As in, if someone's engaging your services, that you would be mindful of taking them on?
Yep.
Yeah, so typically, if it was someone, like if I get an inquiry, firstly seeing if they follow you, again, using social media, what their, I guess, demeanor is like on social media, they're things that I kind of would pay attention to, and also I'll ultimately be able to decide whether early on, not that it's the be all end all, but it will give me an inkling as to whether we're going to be a good fit. And if I can, you go back to a year, do they have the same coach? Have they had 2 or 3 things like that? It's like, not really looking to be another notch on the belt, but equally sometimes as well, unfortunately people have to bounce around because they just don't get the right person the first time, the second time. Like I had a couple of people reach out who have high profile coaches. Some are in different feds, but just feeling like another number and very much sounding like it, but are equally engaged and are locked in on contracts. And again, I think as a coach, I'm never ever, I think the advantage of when you do have a good roster, you don't have to push to try and, you always just want to give them the information. This is how we do things. You need to just work out, see if things change. But when your contract's up, if you decide that maybe this is a route you want to go down, obviously know where I am. You can tee up a consult and go through in a little bit more detail. So I think as long as you're respectful, you're not saying, nah, and both of these athletes, what they were paying for and the return they were getting is just complete garbage. And what they're paying even more is even more painful. But this is the thing. Sometimes when people have that name, they can just abuse it. And so they literally get a text and that's their check-in. And it's like, same intakes as last week. Everything's good. And that's all it is. And it's like, well, there's my $199 debit for the week gone. Versus, as you know, we analyze all the, so there's so many different bits and pieces, but equally, it's not my job to step on their toes and say that to them. Again, you can just give them information in terms of how we do things. When that period ends, if that's something that you want to do. Otherwise, if you're also looking around, if you wanted someone that was in a different state, and I know someone who's equally a good coach there, if they wanted someone that could go and see, one of these girls was from Queensland, I'm like, this person's really good. I know that she works with lots of different types and more so only works with females. So if you decided that you wanted to go down that road, she could be an option. So as well, you're not necessarily trying to just, well, at least I don't try and sell them that they need to come across to you. You just give them and let them know how you do things. And if they decide that they want to engage with you, then that's fine. And to be honest, most of the time they usually do, because it's like you're just giving them a normal, honest approach. And I think that's just part and parcel of being a good person as well, and just, being true to yourself. And I think as long as you never sell out on that or trying to badmouth them. So even though the way that they had explained what they were in, what they were getting, I'm like, that's so bad. I'm not saying that to them. I'll just be like, okay, because it's not my place to do that. I don't know if they do that with all their clients. So I think it's just better to be neutral. And then rather than bad-mouthing anyone else, I don't think that does you any good. You just sort of mention how you do things and run them through it and be concise and clear about the process, and then you leave it up to them. And hopefully at least you've given them some information in terms of perhaps what is normal to expect in this space, and that maybe they can get someone who can actually give them some guidance. At least that way you can kind of steer them on the right path.
I do the same when they're talking about what they get, and I'm like, okay, we'll do things differently.
Exactly. Yeah, I tend to do things a little bit differently to
we'll
that.
do things a little bit differently. This is what we'll do. And then
Yeah. So as long as you're respectful, I think it's
be respectful.
I think it's fine. But I mean, I wouldn't even know if there's much poaching, whether that it probably does go on. But again, I wouldn't know. I don't really pay much attention to it.
Yeah. Is there any trend you guys find with the reasons why people are moving from coaches? Is there any common theme?
Yeah, just lack of feedback.
Communication.
For most of them, it's I would just say the biggest thing would be inconsistent check-in. That would be I'm having to follow up for a check-in, or that. I think that's probably the biggest one I'm hearing out there. But equally, as you delve a little deeper, it's very generic methodology. And probably just lack of follow-up.
Yeah, I think that's what I find too. Attention to detail, follow-up, communication, maybe a little bit of methodology, but it's more about those kind of softer skills or softer aspects that you'd expect from a coach, not the technical stuff. Yeah, for sure. Quick one, MG. One I got from you. A and B shows, sports and fitness. Can you do them together, or are they separate?
Yeah, that's the only crossover you're allowed to do within AMB. And as the three of us were part of that decision-making process, obviously being new division as well, we want to give people the opportunity to see where they fit. So that's the only crossover you can do. So yes, you can do both. And and we're very excited to present those new outfits as well, which you boys have obviously seen the
Good.
final product.
They should be coming this week, right?
Yeah, the sample of hopefully next week at the latest. But yeah, we've got the outfits are on, and you're going to see a lot of muscle tissue. Put it this way, and we can explain
awesome.
now anyway. Fully visible back. It's just one strap across the back for the females, and we've cut the glute for you, so you don't have to roll them up like on a lot of the others. I always see MT's the master of it. MT backstage rolling everyone's glutes up. These ones will be done for you. So
Awesome.
we might post a photo of it on the Prep Coach page in the near future anyway.
Yeah, I'm excited for someone in the team to chuck on the new outfit to see what it looks like.
Yeah, man.
It'd be
Definitely.
awesome.
I would have seen Scotty put it on, to be honest. He's got the best glutes in town. I
might let you boys pose in that.
Yeah, I'll do it. Oh, hey, I've already done a bikini video before.
Yeah.
I did one with Donna before, so maybe it's time for another one.
Yeah.
Whip it out, bro.
Another one, MG, that I got from you was, do coaches have favorites? If they have 4 bikini athletes under 25, surely they have one who they think is going to win. I'm going to link that question with another question that we got about, is there anyone in Season B that we should be looking out for? Don't have to be in the team, just any athletes that you know of that we should be looking out for.
All right, let's address that first question first.
The favorites.
Yeah, because it's I think what it's asking, and then the end of the question, they actually don't align. Because what you're saying is, do you have favorites? Do you know who's going to win? Well, favoritism and knowing who's the best athlete are not the same thing, all right? Do we have favorites? No, we don't have favorites. I think as coaches, we just love adherent, consistent athletes who just continue to get the job done. And are probably what we would say, if you look at all their biomarkers and stuff, they're not really whingers or complainers. But I've got a whole heap of those athletes. So I wouldn't ever be able to say I've got a favorite athlete. Do we know who is potentially going to do better than others? We do. We're coaches. We're in the industry. We're around it all the time. We go to every single show. We know what the judges look for. So, it'd be silly to think we don't know who's going to do well. Do we know who's going to win overall? Never. No. Never. I've had some amazing athletes who, I think are going to do well, walk into shows, and I'm still nervous. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And equally, that can happen across different feds. Give an example. Callum, for example, when he was standing in that fitness lineup at ICM, he looked freaking amazing. He was obviously looked big, but that was a fitness look in seasons past. It obviously wasn't what they wanted this season. I thought he was going to dominate and clean up, didn't place, but won a pro card at 2 other feds. So we know who we think has the chance to do really well, but we never really know. In terms of favoritism, we don't have favorites. We just love athletes who do the job and do it low fuss. Fact. Every coach would.
Of course.
Yep. So, it doesn't mean we give any more or any less, but is it easier to coach someone who just goes about their business and doesn't make a lot of noise about it? It is.
Yeah, I would say we spread our time, energy, and effort equally across every single client. But in saying that, there are some clients that take a little bit more energy than others. There's some that are, as I said, are low fuss, and there's some that need a little bit more reassurance or have more question than others, which is perfectly fine. Doesn't mean that they're our favorite because we spend more time on them, just because they're just asking more questions and they need some more reassurance. So that's one thing. The second thing is social media. You guys operate the same as I operate. We just reshare whatever we're posted in, right? So if a client's not posting or tagging us, we're not resharing. Doesn't mean we have favorites because always the same clients or always mentioning us in their stuff. Doesn't mean that they're our favorite. We're just resharing what they tag us in, right? So people don't get the wrong idea of that either.
Yeah, that's it. We'll just absolutely reshare anything that I get tagged in. Mm-hmm. And if there's someone who posts all the time, it may visually seem like I'm giving that person favoritism, but I'm just reposting someone who consistently posts on their own because it helps me, right? As a coach, if you think about how Instagram works, I want to put up, 10 to 15 stories a day. Mm-hmm. And if 8 of them are done for me, I'm going to reshare those. It definitely helps me. So, but it can seem on the outside like, you may be giving that person favoritism, but no, I would say that there is no favoritism.
They're supporting you, so you support them back. What do you think, Scott? You got any favorites? Who's a favorite out of you and out of me and MG?
I've got a Michael
He's
that's
like
my
he's
favorite.
like
Which one? Who knows?
Drew's the favorite.
Yeah,
Drew's
Drew.
always the favorite.
Yeah, Drew and Charlie. Fuck.
Well, we'll take that, man. Though.
Okay.
Nah.
They can be a favorite.
Yeah. I
Hey,
think,
MT,
like you guys said,
it's because you haven't got a photo of him in your room. That's why, bro. You did that to yourself.
Damn.
yeah. Nah, coaches don't have favorites. Like you said, we respect consistency and adherence. That's because more or less it's relatable too.
Yeah. And like I'll give an example. I've got, some athletes in my team who are some of the hardest workers that I see out of my whole team. Don't make any noise on social media. And maybe these athletes are never going to win pro cards from a genetic point of view. But I have some of the highest amounts of respect for these people. And you wouldn't even know them. I'd never reshare them, never repost them because they don't post.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all about, yeah, Scotty said, the level of respect based on the way they conduct themselves.
Yeah. The second part of the other question was anyone to look out for in the season coming up? They said not in our team, but if there's anyone in your team, you can.
Yeah, I got a couple that you guys know. One of our friends he's doing very, very well at the moment. He's doing his first show, James. He's like, I think you saw some photos I posted of him the other day.
Yeah.
He's actually, we'll give him a shout out because he's got a baby due in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And the plan was to go hard pretty early to maybe afford some time when Bubs comes to maybe pull things back a little bit if necessary. Not so much from a nutritional standpoint, but more from a training standpoint. So he's looking phenomenal. He's got some of the biggest lat spread in the game. And then I've got an amazing athlete in New South Wales who is a female competitor who's actually an A and B judge. Her name's Fran. She looks incredible. She's definitely someone to keep an eye out for.
I'm actually catching up with James on Friday for a training session.
Oh, there you go.
So it'd be good to have a math teacher with me so he can count my sets and reps and weights on the bar.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, he is a teacher for those wondering what MT's talking about, but they're actually pulling his maths class off him because he's going to have some time for baby. And obviously maths is not something that you can just kind of like come in and out of.
Yeah.
So he gets a bit of a break from the maths, but he is a maths teacher. He's a maths methods teacher too. So
maths methods. Jeez, I did that back in the day. Jesus.
When we catch up, we'll have to talk about antiderivatives, circular functions.
Yes. Quadratic equations. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, calculus. Definitely don't miss those days.
Scotty, anyone to look out for? Ethan, obviously, I know that. And to look out for you, of course. But
No, don't look out for me. Look out for Ethan. Yeah, I think
everyone's looking out for you, bro.
Ethan, I think, is definitely gonna make a splash. And equally, someone said the other day, is he one of your favorites? I'm like, he's not a favorite, but again, he's someone that I can relate with because he's just very humble. He's very strong on his values. And again, I can relate to him because he's just like a sponge. I see a lot of myself in him when he was young. He wants to learn. He wants to surround himself with the best people. He's constantly wanting to evolve, not just as an athlete, but as a person. And I think, yeah, he's gonna see the fruits of his labor this year. But again, we'll see how we go. But he's doing everything right, so obviously I want him to do well. And all you can do is do everything within your control, and the results take care of themselves. And that's all I say to him. And he's of the same understanding. So
he's actually one of my athletes for my clothing brand. Don't know if you know that.
I do know that. Yeah, we caught up on Monday, and we were talking about that.
So very exciting.
His quads fill up those bloody shorts pretty good.
I'll have to send him a new pair, man. Actually, I think I might have just seen his name pop up in the list for another pair anyway. I think he might have realised himself that he needs a bigger size.
Yeah, he's looking really, really good. There's a couple in my team too, but you never really know. Like, you can see people have potential. You want to see the layers unfold to see what's underneath, but you never know. Like, you never know who's going to be on the day. You never know what the judges, what they're going to decide and who they're going to pick over another one. But there's definitely a few. There's a couple that have a lot of potential, but we'll just see. We'll see what we can get done in season B.
Yeah, I've got like even just thinking about my team without going through names. I've got so many people doing their first show this season B that have come from so far away. Like
Mm.
3 years ago, you wouldn't have even thought these people would even be in the sport. So I just can't wait to see. Like, I'm just as excited to see those people on stage.
Yeah. I got a lot of first timers too, actually, which I'm excited about, which will be awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
first timers are always fun.
yeah, and I think you saw in my office, MT, I've sort of mapped out where everyone's competing for the whole season. I think I got 11 for season B.
Yeah,
And like, I'm going to be hitting a few different states as well,
that's
which
awesome.
which is going to be exciting for like a few different feds, not just A and B. So I'm really, really looking forward to season B, man. It's going to be a really fun season for competitions.
Actually, on that, so the next question, I think we'll probably finish off on this one. Um, there was a question about trophy hunters because we're talking about feds, putting people in certain shows and seasons and states and things like that. So the question was, why do certain coaches and athletes only stick to particular federations or regional shows? Are they just trying to collect as many trophies as possible and potentially as many pro cards as possible? Do you see any trends of specific people, specific coaches, athletes just doing specific shows, being very strategic in what they pick? Anyone want to
Not
start?
really. I think there's some people perhaps, and there's nothing wrong with it. They may know that their level of competition is not going to be like, say you want to do the Ballarat show or something like that for ICN, but you're not going to go and do the VIX. The standard of the VIX versus Ballarat is going to be very, very, very different. So, and sometimes as well, it can be travel. There's lots of different pieces to it, but I think sometimes people just stick to certain feds based on perhaps how they're rewarded in terms of placings. Like they know that they place better, and there's nothing wrong with if you are a certain look that perhaps one fed really likes and perhaps the other doesn't. So of course you're going to compete in a federation that you're going to place well in, but um, I think it depends on the individual as well. I'm sure there are some people that perhaps are known for going to fed and maybe if they don't get a result that they like in a certain fed, they throw the toys out of a cot. There's definitely probably a few of those, but I don't think that happens as much anymore. But again, if it was happening, I probably would be oblivious to it because I don't really
Then on your
really
radar.
to it
Yeah.
too much. Yeah.
How about you, MG? You see anything? Specific coaches, specific sticking to federations, only putting their clients in small shows, or even just athletes only doing small shows or small federations?
Maybe not so much anymore, man.
Mhm.
Like Scotty said, I might choose. Like I got pretty much most of my team doing the Ballarat show this year for ICN, as because most of them are first timers, right? So
Yeah, and equally, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like at all.
it's a nice way to kind of dip their toes in and get a
Yeah.
feel. Equally, I've been to a Ballarat or a Bendigo show in the past where the lineup's been pretty good as well. So you just never know what you're going to get anyway.
Mhm.
But what I find as a coach is telling people that their first show is going to be like a Ballarat. You just kind of see the pressure come off them a bit.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, cool. That's my first show. It's not going to be so big, and it might just be just as big. You never know, right? But it definitely helps with nerves a little bit, and then you kind of peak up to a much bigger state show. So, but I just don't think there's any givens anywhere anymore. You just never know who's going to show up. So,
Yeah, I definitely think, and I've noticed there's a couple of competitors and coaches that I know swap and change and only just follow the smaller federations around. And they won't put their athletes, or these people won't compete in the big shows, like the big state shows, or even in the bigger federations. And they'll stick to the smaller ones. And look, that's fine. I guess some people on social media don't know any better. So when they see this person winning overalls all the time, they've got 1,000,001 pro cards, 1,000,001 trophies, they don't understand that they got all them at a show where they only had one other person in their lineup. That's up to them to decide whether that's okay with their ego or not. But I know how you guys are, and I feel a massive sense of accomplishment when you have a client that wins a lineup that was super competitive and it was massive. There's like a massive sense. I'd rather someone win a lineup like they'll come second or third in a lineup like that than to win a lineup when they were the only person in it or there was only one other person in it. And sometimes we can't dictate because there's sometimes we go to big shows at big federations and there's only a couple in a lineup and it's nothing to do with the athlete. It doesn't take anything away from them. But you can see sometimes where people strategically just stick to those kind of shows just to have some little bit more trophies on the mantelpiece for sure.
Yeah.
But it's all up to what you think, what's your goal, what brings you satisfaction, a sense of accomplishment, and whether they want to stroke their ego or not, for sure. And also, I get it. Some people stick to that too because it also looks good on social media and to advertise themselves or to advertise them as a coach. Some people don't know any better, and when they put, I've won, 50 overall titles, like, wow, this person must be pretty good. So
For sure.
I get it. But yeah, as for this person's question, yes, it does happen. It's not on our radar, to be honest, and that's for them to live with in the end. Yeah. That's pretty much it, guys. I think we'll wrap it up there. There's a couple of other ones, but I reckon we're good to go because I know, Scotty, you've got to wrap it up. So
Yeah, cool.
I'm super excited for the weekend to hang out with you guys.
You will have to coordinate some logistics on what we want to do.
Yeah, what are you training, Scotty?
Well, just time-wise, because of the flight time we get there, normally I would do legs, but that would normally take me a bit longer. I think we're going to have the time, and I don't want to rush because I don't want to fucking get injured because we'll need to. I think we get there at like 8:30 or something. So by the time we get to the gym, warm up 9:30, have a shower, it probably doesn't afford so much time. So I think I'm going to swap my Friday to a Saturday. So I'm going to do upper
Nice.
and calves. Does that marry up with any of you boys?
I'm doing EB pull.
You've got EB pull. You both would have EB pull, wouldn't you?
Yeah, except I was switch my day, so I got push.
Okay, we're doing something different. All of us are doing something different.
Well, otherwise, if you're doing push, we can do our pushing movements together. We can do our pulling movements together.
That's right. Yeah, perfect.
And if you're doing EB, you'll have some calves in there.
Yeah, I'll have some lower body stuff in there for sure.
Yeah, so I'll do some calves with you, and then I'll go and do my pressing, and then with MG.
Nice. Get a
And then
nice
we'll meet
arm
back
and
up
then
for
go in the
pull.
posing room. Yeah.
And you can just show me all that mass.
I show you my big 93, 94 kg of mass.
Frame.
Can you imagine how funny we're going to look on the plane? Just all three of us sit there. You're just going to have MG in the middle. Although MT, you should probably, can you imagine if you're in the middle? You probably wouldn't fit with those big lats.
Yeah, probably not.
You'd just be spilling out onto the
Against the
sides.
window. We should do, I don't know why I'm going to throw myself under the bus, but I'll just do it anyways. We should do a photo of us three doing a pose down. Are you up for it?
The two mass monsters. We could, but who would take the photo? Stu.
I'll just get someone there to take the photo. Someone will be there.
AMT, just a quick laugh before we go. Look how cute this is. No one can see it, but that's my dad resharing the AMB posing workshops.
Oh, your dad's the best. Hey, do any of your parents listen to the podcast?
No.
My mum does.
Oh, well, shout out to your beautiful mother. She's an angel. She's such a good woman. We love you.
Support.
It was funny. She was listening to the last week's potty the other day, and she was babysitting my niece and nephew, and they overheard it, and they're like, "Oh, is Uncle Michael here?" And she's like, "No, I'm just listening to the."
She might not make it to the end of this app because it's right at the end. So maybe next week we'll start with a shout out to your mum.
Okay, done. All right, done.
Yeah?
Done. All right, boys.
Take care, legends. Talk to you later on.
Boys.
Talk
See you,
soon.
boys. Bye.